So I've been making films for a while. I think it's 7 years this April. But no matter how many films I make or how long I've been doing something in this field, I always find that there are things that I wish I knew sooner, or just things that I flat out regret never doing. And rather than leaving you, the viewer, to find out those things or difficulties the hard way, I just feel like I have some form of obligation to share what I've learned, and then what I've learned that I haven't learned along the way. So, here it goes. My first piece of advice, most of you will probably disagree with. You only need to get one lens. One good lens, that is, mind you, and you need to get one lens that can do everything you want to do as a filmmaker, or at least what you want to start with. To defend my statement, I don't mean that you only are ever allowed to have one lens and that you never need to buy another one for a certain use. But if your story sucks, or if you just have really bad or unhelpful information to share, then the lens choice, whatever lens you chose to use, doesn't make a difference, at least in that case. So my point is, get one lens to start. Yes, I recommend getting a zoom lens, because not only if you buy a very good quality zoom lens rather than a bunch of mediocre quality prime lenses, you'll have a better lens out of it, but you'll have multiple focal lengths to use if and when you want to use them. And you can probably, like I said, if you bought a good quality one versus mediocre quality, get a faster f-stop and just much more diversity out of one lens than having multiple. Which leads me to my second point, assuming that you are a beginner filmmaker, that is, your budget allocation for filmmaking related things is probably on the lower end. And since you won't be able to hire an extra hand on set or purchase the, pre-production or post-production assets that you would like to have, the alternative is just to do everything yourself, which means that you need to be well versed in as many filmmaking skill sets as you possibly could be. This includes things like learning how to edit your films, because some people hire that out, or learning how to actually operate your camera, because some people hire that out, or learning how to edit your thumbnails in Photoshop, or like I said, graphics and titles in like Illustrator. Or since we're budgeting here, and since you're a beginner filmmaker and you don't have a budget, you're gonna have to learn how to do those things yourself, which is totally and fully possible via YouTube. YouTube's free. You're watching this on it right now, and everything I learned about filmmaking in my entire 7 years of doing it has been on YouTube. But I understand that learning these skill sets might feel like irrelevant processes to learn or just unhelpful advice, but I promise that learning as much as you can in this field will only help you. But while we're on the topic of investing time into something, my third piece of advice is actually focusing more on the story and less on the visual appeal of it. Yes, I know you've heard this, but I'm going to say it anyways. But the hard truth is that no one actually gives a shit if your video looks good. No one cares what it looks like if it's a bad film. Remember, they're watching it for the story. They want to get something out of it. They want to come watch your video or watch your movie, leave either entertained or informed, and it's completely a one-way relationship. Sure, I enjoy making these videos, so I make them, but you come here with the expectation to learn something, and you want to walk away with that. If you don't walk away with that, you don't give a shit how good the video looked or how nice the intro was. You only care about if it was good or not. It's a one-way relationship, and that's okay, because that's what this medium is best at doing, is at providing something for the viewer itself. And speaking of visuals, let's talk about editing. Everyone's favorite part. Not really, except mine. I actually quite enjoy it. Put simply, your entire film relies on your edit. And if you don't edit well, one, it'll be obvious, and two, what's the point of watching a movie that's not edited to sell the viewer on something, right? Having a great story is awesome, but having a great edit can make a boring story better than the great story. If that makes sense, I sure hope it does. And since you understand how big of a deal editing is, take the time up front and in the beginning, before you really get going in your filmmaking journey, to learn an editing software that you enjoy and learn it inside and out, like the back of your hand, back and forth, up and down, whatever. Learn it as thoroughly as you possibly can, and I cannot stress this one enough. Obviously, some of it you'll like more than others. Some of it you will probably despise and never want to touch, and maybe you'll hire that out in the future. But for now, learn every part that you can, because the only way that you're going to get better at making films is by understanding how films are made. So this not only helps you come up with more creative ways to actually edit your video and tell a better story, but it also helps you speed up the time that it takes you to edit and decreases that significantly. No one likes to sit around editing for hours, but it truthfully takes way longer than most people expect, and it's probably a longer process than the actual production of the movie or video itself. So my point is that time is almost, if not more, valuable than any other asset that you have when filming something or making a movie or whatever. So be careful and choose wisely as to where you spend it. No one wants to spend it on the cutting room floor. I know that's not a thing anymore, but you get the point. Don't spend it on editing. Try to spend it on the actual production. So speed your editing up by knowing your software and being good at it. And speaking of where you spend your time, number 5 is don't spend your time on projects that you hate. Don't spend your time making videos for clients that you wouldn't want to be making them for. In the beginning, it's okay to start by taking anyone on. I always recommend doing that. I think that getting your feet wet, doing every possible field and niche and style of video that you can is going to throw you much farther than if you're very picky and don't want to do this because it's boring or don't want to do that because it might be hard. No, like you need to put the time in like everyone else does and really dedicate giving it your all and doing as much as you possibly can to get yourself somewhere that you want to be. That being said, once you get yourself a little bit farther along the line and you are pretty comfortable and confident that your work's good enough to charge what you want and you know who you want to work with, slowly but surely target yourself towards that audience, target yourself towards that client. You don't want to be doing videos for weddings if you hate doing weddings, and you don't want to do videos for real estate if you don't like doing real estate. But if you like doing music videos and you know that real estate's a much more consistent gig, probably pays a little bit better in the long run, and that music videos are harder to find because there's more competition, but you hate the other two, both weddings and real estate, and you love making music videos, just keep making as many possible music videos as you can until that you can do that full time. Stop taking on less and less clients from the fields you don't like. Focus on the fields you do like and narrow down who you want to work for by proving with your portfolio what work you're best at. That will both attract clients in that field and deter clients outside of it. So be prepared to lose some clients in the beginning, but gain a better reputation in your field that you want to be in the long run. But it's probably the most important and valuable thing I've ever learned in film and in business is just work where you want to work. Do what you want to do with film, because that's the whole point, is to have fun, enjoy it. At least that's the whole point for me. That's why I want to make it part of my business. That's why I made it part of like what I do on a daily basis. And I would imagine you're probably wanting to do the same. With that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something valuable out of this. I hope the microphone setup is okay today. I'm trying something new. I don't like how stiff and, robotic I am at the desk. Thanks for coming. I'll see you guys in the next video. This was terrible. Goodbye. I spelled it. Great.